So let's talk about one of history's greatest enigmas, the Maya collapse.
Okay, just picture this. You've got these incredible cities, towering pyramids just bursting through the jungle canopy, a civilization that totally mastered astronomy and had this incredibly complex system of writing. I mean, for centuries, they were thriving. And then, poof, in what feels like the blink of an eye, historically speaking, their greatest cities are just empty. That's the mystery we're really going to dig into today. And make no mistake, the classic Maya were absolutely extraordinary. We're talking about this vast network of powerful city-states. Places like Tikal, Copan, Palenque, they had stunning architecture, calendar systems that were mind-bogglingly precise, and get this, the only fully developed writing system in all of the pre-Columbian Americas. For centuries, this was one of the most dynamic, vibrant civilizations on the entire planet.
So let's get right into that enigma. The big question, the one that's puzzled people forever, is what on earth happened to those great southern cities? How does a civilization that advanced just seem to hit a wall?
Okay, now here's what's so wild about this. It happened fast, really fast. Starting around the year 800, they just stop carving monuments. The royal dynasties, gone. And the populations in these huge cities, they just plummet. We're talking about a span of roughly 125 years, and boom, most of these incredible southern cities are practically ghost towns. And of course, when something like this happens, what's the first thing we do? We start looking for that one single reason, right? The smoking gun that explains everything. And that search brings us to what we might call the anatomy of a collapse. There's actually a pretty famous framework for this. You might have heard of it from Jared Diamond's book, Collapse. He lays out 5 big factors. You've got environmental damage, climate change, hostile neighbors, maybe your trading partners fall apart, and then finally, how your society actually responds to all those problems. And believe me, when it comes to the Maya, every single one of these has been pointed to as the main culprit at some point or another. But, there's one theory that has always stood out from the pack. A massive, century-long drought. And the evidence is pretty compelling. When scientists look at high-resolution climate records, they see this super severe dry spell that lines up almost perfectly with when those southern cities were abandoned. It really does look like the classic silver bullet, case closed kind of explanation. But is it really that simple? Were the Maya just helpless victims of the climate? Well, to test that idea, let's take a trip to a really interesting place, the Puc region. Now, this part of the Yucatan is not easy to live in. It gets bone dry, there are no rivers, no lakes, and the groundwater is way, way down. We're talking hundreds of feet. Way too deep for them to dig wells. So you'd think, if a drought was going to wipe anyone out, it would be the people living here, right? And yet, they thrived. It's incredible, and it just goes to show you how ingenious they were. The people in the Puc region were absolute masters of water management. They'd find these natural dips in the landscape, build up these huge earthen walls to create massive reservoirs, and then they'd engineer their entire cities to funnel every single drop of rain into these storage systems. These weren't just water sources. They were the political, the economic, the ceremonial heart of the whole community. So when you see that kind of incredible resilience, it forces you to step back and ask a much bigger question. Maybe this isn't a story about collapse at all. Maybe it's a story about survival. And maybe it's time we completely rethink that word collapse. I mean, think about it. That one word, collapse, it conjures up these images of like a sudden apocalypse, right? A civilization just vanishing overnight. But what if that word is actually hiding the real story? What if it's just the wrong word? There's an archaeologist, Guy D. Middleton, who put it perfectly. He said, "The silver bullet theories grow less convincing the closer they are scrutinized." And he's so right. The idea that one single thing, whether it was drought or warfare or whatever, was the cause, it just doesn't stack up when you look at the complex reality of what was happening. And this right here is the key takeaway. We have to separate the myth from the reality. The myth is this story of a total mysterious collapse, but the reality, it's more like a political transformation in one specific area, the South. It's a story of incredible resilience and adaptation, not just vanishing into thin air. And hey, we have the perfect example to back this up. Let's look at the city of Lamini in what's now Belize.
At the exact same time the southern cities were in decline, Lamani was doing great, thriving actually. In fact, people lived there continuously for more than 2,000 years, right through this so-called collapse and well into the colonial era. See, it didn't fall, it adapted.
And that brings us to what is, honestly, the most important part of this whole story, the living legacy. Because the simple, powerful truth is, the Maya never vanished. Not at all. There is this amazing story that just captures it all. A Maya caretaker at Lamani, a man named Nazario Puck, gets asked by tourists all the time, "So, why did the Maya die out?" And his reply is just perfect. He says, "I'm not dead." And he is 100% right. Today, there are more than 7 million Maya people living in Central America and all around the world. They're speaking their languages, they're preserving their traditions. This isn't some lost civilization from a history book. It's a living, breathing culture that went through a massive political change 1,000 years ago. So it leaves us with a really important question, doesn't it? What stories do we lose when we try to find simple, easy answers for incredibly complex histories? We risk losing all the nuance, all the complexity, and most importantly, we risk losing the real story, the true story of resilience, of adaptation, and of survival. That is the real legacy of the Maya people.